testing, testing, testing. Looks like it's working there. Let's toss on some music. Okay. Then we'll gotta shill myself in my own Discord. Hey D-Gen, how's it going? Yeah, we open in packs. Got my booster box in today. Figure let's do this now instead of waiting like 7 hours. So yeah. Ooh, hand reveals, right? So my setup's very touchy at the moment. Because I don't... One, I remember booster box being a lot bigger than this. Anything looking the crack? No, because if there's anything I particularly want, I'll make a proxy of it. If I get a real version, I'll just get it store credit somewhere. If anything, I'm trying to get the Final Fantasy VII cards to add them to the Final Fantasy VII Commander deck, because the only changes I want to make to that deck is using Final Fantasy VII cards. Kind of keep the flavor going for that one. So yeah, here's the box. Got 14 character I don't care about. I know it's Stola or whatever. We got good old-fashioned Cloud, Terra, and then they show Warrior of Light here. What bothers me about Warrior of Light is that Warrior of Light does not have their own card. Anyway, let's see. How does this open? Is this supposed to be like a backing? I take it. So if I can put it on display. Is there any other taping I need to worry about here? Yeah, that's supposed to be the rear display. Cool. We got Noctis. I actually started playing Final Fantasy 15 today. Trying to do some stuff there. Unfortunately, because I did buy this box from a particular store, these are not, I don't have the buy a box promo. Then we have our limited archetypes that they, if you're gonna do draft and shit, and limited like pre-release and whatnot, you can build around these archetypes pretty easily. All right, let's grab a pack. Make sure everything looks good. Looks good on my screen. Well, 8's one of those weird ones. I have a soft spot for 8, but I don't particularly like it either. So let's go ahead. I'm gotta look at 2 places because I want to make sure I'm in camera here, but I also want to physically look at the cards. So it's kind of... Oh, I guess I opened it the wrong way? Alright. So, Shinra Reinforcements. Town Greeter. So I like how they made this one of the Final Fantasy 1 cards, because it's like the first guy you come across in the first game. So the first game opens up with a cutscene, and then it just kind of thrusts you into the world, and you're right outside of a castle, right? So they're like, oh, well, let me just go head towards the castle. Then you're inside the little town there, and then a bunch of these guys block the entryways, so you can't leave the town until you talk to this guy, and then you get thrust on your journey. Ice magic. I swear, all of the tier 3 versions, the Aga versions of these spells, are not worth the price. In mana, anyway. Okay, Dwarven Castle Guard. Thunder Magic. Vane's Treachery. Syncopate. I remember thinking this spell was really cool. This is like one of those counter spells I used a bunch when I first got into the game. Reach of the Horizon. Eject. Alright, we got Rydia, Summoner of Mist. We have the woodblock print version of Clash of the Icons. We got Tifa. Cool, cool, cool. That'll get slotted in somewhere. And then we got Tifa's Limit Break and Foil, which I'm sure, because it's uncommon, I'm going to pull a non-foil. I hate getting foil cards. And what else we got here? Because these are play boosters, there's like a double chance for rares or something like that. And then we got the dual land. I see, and we got a hero token. So it looks like they're trying to make a land. Because I remember when getting boosters before, the land cards, like the non-basic lands, would be in with your regular cards. So it looks like they're trying to like dedicate a slot to a land, which is fairly nice. Alright, that's one. One down, 29 more to go. And like, do all these just have cloud on them? That's a little unfair. Okay, we got ourselves a fat chocobo. These are one of the new creature types they're doing, the enchantment creature sagas. Meant to emulate how the game plays, where you summon in a big creature, they stick around for a little bit, and then they leave. So that's what the whole point of these lore counters are. After they hit the last lore counter, you got to get rid of them. So this usually means, in most cases, a lot of these creatures only have 3 chapters. So you can only, and a lot of them don't have haste. So on turn 1, after when you play it, you can't use it to attack, but only on turn 2. This one, you can use it on 2 turns. You know, assuming it lives that long. Sages Gnoliths? I don't know, that's some Final Fantasy 14 shit. Weapons Vendor. That's actually one I wanted too, but I was going to get it because it's common. Haste Magic, another one I wanted, and it's common, so I don't have nothing to worry about there. More Shinra's Reinforcements. Laporit Scout. That's another 14 thing. I did the math on this set, and a majority of the set is actually Final Fantasy 14 cards, which kind of pisses me off, but I know it's the most popular Final Fantasy. Ulthros. Dude. Excuse me. So I'm playing Final Fantasy 6. I don't like this guy. Not because like he's a bad villain. It's just like he's pointless and he's a joke character, and I don't appreciate him being in the game. Like everything he does is just like, you're killing the vibes, man. You're taking me out of the experience. Coliseum Behemoth. Was it Gaiat, King of the Dwarves? So I never played Final Fantasy IV, so I can't say much about that one. The Wind Crystal. The crystals, so they typically there's only 4 crystals: Earth, Wind, Fire, and Water. But they did 5, one for each of the colors of magic here, and they made the white one the Wind one. I'm not a big fan of this cycle. Like, maybe the only one I would find a use for is the red one, but that's because I like having my creatures have haste. But yeah, kind of a whiff on that one. And then we got Keen Traitorous Dragoon. So there's our double rare. Could be a fun build around because it wants to do like group hug stuff, but you want to pass them around the board, so you get draw cards and make treasure tokens. But there's no saying if any of your opponents are going to give you this guy back. So, and then we got Balam T-Rexar as a foil. I remember seeing this thing in Final Fantasy VIII, and it was kind of like, what kind of school is this? Because you fight these things in the monster arena in the school, in the training grounds. There's like a weird plant creature, a mosquito thing, and then this T-Rex going around. And then there is a full art land. This is Final Fantasy XIV themed, and then another hero token. Alright, let's keep it going. So I'm glad I fixed the focus on my camera manually, because looking at what was going on before when it was on auto, it was not doing stuff. So Resentful Revelation, Blitzball Shots, Combat Tutorial, it's funny because this is just Divination, right? Divination is a 3 mana, 2 colorless or 2 generic, 1 blue. Target, or it says you draw 2 cards. Well, here you can actually pick somebody to draw the cards now, and you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Like, it's funny seeing how pushed the game's been over the past few years. Like, certain cards have been pushed away. Paladin's Arms, Sabo Tender, Undercity Dire Rats, Adventurer's Inn. Oh, we got one of the Through the Ages cards here. So this is showing off artwork, official artwork from Final Fantasy XII. And all of them take uncommon or rare slots. Shambling Saith, what is it? 13? Yeah, it's 13. Yeah, so something I thought was kind of neat is they put which game it's from at the bottom here. Okay. Shiva. Zaza's Chocobo. Card that's going to get out of hand very quickly. If it's good old 1-drop, but it gets bigger whenever you play lands, you just play this right away, and it's just going to get fat. Alright, then we got one of the adventure lands, Xanarkhan, Ancient Metropolis. That is a very costly sorcery here. Pretty much get a token and hope it's big, play it late game. Yeah, in theory, you can get it to be a 7/7. But, yeah. Neat, I suppose. And then we have Vincent Valentine as a foil. This is a double-sided card. It transforms. So let's see. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter, or put a number of +1/+1 counters on Vincent Valentine equal to that creature's power. Whenever this creature attacks, you may transform it. So that's, yeah. So that's pretty strong. And then we'll flip it over here to get his first level limit break, Galleon Beast. He gets trample lifelink, and when this dies, return to the battlefield tapped face up, so that'll turn back into Vincent. Very interesting. I say pretty strong, in my opinion. Then we got our tap land and our hero token. Oh, we got an art card. Not worth anything, but that's fine. Okay, Town Greeter, Ice Magic, Dwarven Castle Guard, Thunder Magic, Resentful Revelation, Adventurers in Syncopate, Zac Fair. This is already in the pre-con. But this is one of those cards I saw, and it's a flavor win. Right? So, it comes with a +1/+1 count on it. You know, it's an 0/1. That's fine, I suppose. But so sacrifice this creature. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Put Zac Fair's counters on that creature and attach an equipment that was attached to Zac Fair to that creature. So mechanically, what this means. So spoiler alert for a almost 30-year-old game now. So Zac Fair is who Cloud is kind of accidentally modeling himself off of. So they were actually friends while in the military together. And when they're trying to escape from their predicament, they get ambushed by some other soldiers, and he dies protecting Cloud. Cloud is in a coma at this point, like he's comatose, more or less, just completely unaware of his surroundings. He sacrifices himself to save Cloud, and then Cloud comes to, takes his sword, and actually ends up taking a majority of his personality and identity. So mechanically, this is a win. This is a W. Esper Ramu. So yeah, representing Final Fantasy VI. Elixir. Exile its artifacts. Shuffle all non-land cards from your graveyard into your library, and you gain life equal to the number of cards you shuffle in your library this way. Neat idea. Neat idea. What we got here, and then we have a side quest. So a side quest they're typically enchantments that transform. So this one gets the funny thing of, so this is representing Tetra I forgot what the card game was called in Final Fantasy 9. Oh, this is going for Final Fantasy 14, of course, right? And then it turns into a magic card. So I have a magic card named Magic Card. Cheeky. And oh, cool! Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, the main villain of Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 is probably in my top 5. I think I put it at number 4, but neat idea. Like, even though this villain was kind of a L, I wasn't really sold on him. Very powerful effects. Can be very mean. Like, obviously, you can just take your opponent's lands and turn them into start turning them into wastes. But if you want to, you can just turn your own lands into wastes, and to help generate double the colorless mana. But yeah, this is cool. '16's pretty solid. I say this like I did want to like 16 more than I really did. I give it about like a 7 out of 10. It, but I don't treat 7 out of 10 as average, right? 7 out of 10 is good. I just wished it either was trying to be more like an RPG or trying to be more of a Devil May Cry type game or a character action game. I felt like it was very middle of the road, didn't have enough RPG stuff, it didn't do enough with character combat stuff to make me think like, yeah, this is definitely worth the change in genre. So then we got Seven Heavens Plane in foil, and then one of the art cards. So make sure I'm actually getting everything in camera here. And I barely ever buy packs, so it's pretty obvious I don't know how to open these things. Dreams of Laguna, Final Fantasy VIII, Chocobo Kick. Okay. Magic Tech Infantry, Warrior Sword. Man, I feel a lot of these are... I get why they did the job select thing to make it so like you can change your jobs and that like the equipment's really what matters. But I was really hoping for creature cards, because this one is just like, yeah, at common. So it's a 4/3 and that's it. And the equip cost is absurdly high. So if you want to put it on someone else, but yeah, I'm not really sold on the equipment here. Corner of my black mages though. So if I were to build a deck out of these, I would build a black mage deck, because it does what I want to do, which is burn my enemies. So target opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, and then create a 0/1 black wizard creature token with whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. You get enough of these out here, that is strong. That is super strong. Hopefully I get the actual Black Waltz number 3 from here, and it's pretty likely because it's uncommon. Iron Giant, just a big boy, which honestly, I might slot this guy into my Iwamari Pauper Commander deck, because that's kind of like almost a trample tribal, where all my creatures have trample. Easy to cast. I mean, I'm playing mono green, so it's going to be easy to cast, but yo, that's nothing. That's a lot of cool keywords. Those are big stats. Magic Pot, Wild Rose Rebellion. Oh, it's a counterspell. It's a legit counterspell, and this is Final Fantasy II art. Yeah, so this is neat. I can actually use this. So neato. Coral Sword. Poison the Waters. Actually, this is a really cool scene in Final Fantasy VI. Like this whole section kind of warmed me up a little bit to the serious storytelling of that game, but that game is giving me whiplash. So fucking bad in terms of its story. Swallowed by Leviathan. And we got Balam Garden Seed Academy. This transforms. So spend a bunch of mana to transform it into the airborne version. Yep. When attacks, draw a card. Crew 1. That's actually a cheap crew cost for being a 5/4 flyer. Not bad. Don't think I'll ever use it, but neat. And then Rufus Shinra. We got the uncommon and foil here. This is one I was considering for Pauper Commander. I just don't really know what I would do with it. I just like the idea of getting having a 2/4 for 3 is okay, but then just constantly getting a 2/2 token out of it. Could be some fun shenanigans there, but it likely turns into an Aristocrats deck because that's really what you use those colors for. Sacrificing stuff, getting big gains from sacrificing your own creatures. So, which that'd be a little weird, just constantly putting down your dog. And then we have a non-foil, Seventh Heaven Plains, and then we have a bird token. The chocobos in this set are very strong for like constructed play. And adding a bunch of tech to allow people to have a kindred strategy with a, I guess, underrepresented creature type. And I apologize for sniffling so much. I'm still draining from whatever sickness I had. Alright, Blitzball Shots, Combat Tutorial, Paladin Arms, Sable Tender, Undercity Dire Rat, Vincent's Limit Break, Iron Giant. I'm getting like previews of cards I don't need to see yet. Ash, Princess of Dalmasca. Maybe someday I'll play Final Fantasy XII, but it's not today. Circle of Power. Yep, another one of those ones for the Black Mage stuff. Thief's Knife. I did want to build a Final Fantasy 1 themed deck. The problem is it'd be a 4-color deck, so that'd be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. What else we got here? Torgal, a Fine Hound. Yes, your Beast Companion from Final Fantasy 16, as they stated in various interviews. Final Fantasy 6. So this set has been in development for like 4 years. Final Fantasy 16 came out 2 years ago, so they had to like quick shoehorn in Final Fantasy 16 cards. So there aren't a ton of them in here. Torgal, though, I really wish he did more. But not the card. I mean in the game. Barely notice he's there. But as a card, he's all right. And heyo, Lindblum Industrial Regency. Why I actually give a shit about this card is because of the adventure side, making those tokens that ping people for damage whenever you cast non-creature spells. Aerith Rescue Mission in foil. So, this was a fun event in Final Fantasy VII. So they choose your options here. You either take the elevator or walk up the stairs, right? In terms of the game, you're trying to rescue Aerith from the evil megacorp Shinra, and you have two ways you can go about it. You can either go in guns blazing right through the front door, deal with the guards, and fight them, and then ride the elevator up to the 60th floor, or you can take the sneaky way and just take the stairs, and you legitimately have to take those stairs for all those steps. Was pretty funny in the remake version, too, because they purposely slow you down, like you're getting exhausted, and everybody's chatting, so you got Barrett here, it's like, man, this sucks, right? It was pretty funny, and how they represent that in the card, I think, was pretty decent, where, take the elevator, you get creature tokens out of it, so that kind of represents, you dealing with what, for lack of a better term, creatures going through the elevators. But if you take the stairs, tap up the 3 creatures, put stun counter on them, it's almost like you're getting the opposite effect. So instead of fighting a bunch of creatures, you're making creatures, and instead of your people being exhausted, you're making other people exhausted. So neat. And then we have a dual land and another bird. Got this big old pile of stuff I need to get rid of real quick. Yeah, my webcam is hooked up in a very interesting way where I have to make sure I'm not knocking it over or some shit. I'm sure it's very delicate. Hey, treasure token. Cool. Let's... Oh, wait, these are double-sided tokens. I forgot. Go Gabu Gardener. Scorpion Sentinel. Alright. Because I know Final Fantasy VII more than a lot of the other ones. As long as you control 7 or more lands, this creature gets +3/+0. Dude, this effect does not make any sense. I don't know why it's blue. It being an artifact creature's fine. But, like, I think this is a flavor fail. Curial. Call the Mountain Chocobo. I'll give this my common complaint. If this is 1 mana cheaper, I would find a home for it in decks. Quitrub Fourier? White Auracite. So kind of removal and a mana rock, so kind of neat. Lunatic Pandora. Sorry. Lunatic Pandora. Let me tell you about this shit. So played in Final Fantasy VIII. I got to the point in the game where the Lunatic Pandora is live and active. It is over the city of Esthar. And I had a strategy guide at the time because I was like 13. Or no, I was 12 when I was playing this. And I couldn't be bothered to like read and pay attention to shit, but having a guide was handy. So the guide told me I needed to talk to Laguna in Esthar, spoilers, and once I do that, I get in the Ragnarok, fly towards Lunatic Pandora, a cutscene will start, and I crash into it, and I'll be able to resume the story. Cool, I do that. Except when I get to this fucking thing floating in the sky, no cutscene happens. So I'm like driving around with the Ragnarok trying to hit it, like boom, 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 hitting it from all angles, going at it, trying to like pretending I'm going faster than I can by going back and then going at it. Nothing works. So I did all the side quests I could, just to like, well, I'll figure this out later. And then I did all the side quests. I couldn't do anymore. I had to proceed. I couldn't proceed. I didn't know what to do, so I quit playing. Many, 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 many years later, I learned that I think, like my understanding is that the guide was during the play online era, so they kind of like skipped over some details on purpose because they put like parts of the guide on a play wall or a paywall rather. So I had to talk to Laguna, but apparently the conversation got broken up in the middle of it, and he went downstairs somewhere, and I never followed him downstairs. Like, why would I? I was done talking to him. I just proceeded. No, because I didn't finish that conversation because he walked away from me, and I wasn't focusing on what he was saying. Couldn't proceed through the game. Judge Magister Gabranth? More Final Fantasy 12 stuff. Opera Love Song. Alright, neat effect. I'm cool with the exiling, the impulse draw stuff, or getting an attack buff. You get a choice. Any cards that give you a choice are inherently stronger in IMO. Having just recently done this in Final Fantasy VI, I was very underwhelmed. I thought, like, everybody told me this was like one of the best scenes in the game, and I thought it was going to be a little bit more like emotionally poignant or whatever, but it was just like silly stuff. Delivery Moogle. Side quest Hunt the Mark. So on the other side of this will be Big Dude. Another Final Fantasy 12 thing. And then, ooh, we got ourselves a Lightning Army of One. This is actually, if I were interested in building commander decks right now, this would be a very strong contender. So 3/2 for 3 mana, first strike, trample, lifelink. I love creatures with a lot of keywords. That's fine, but then it has, whenever lightning deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. So give her double strike. Hilarious. Yeah, that's strong. And then we got ourselves a Dragoon's Wyvern. Got ourselves a Forest and a Hero Token. I feel like I should have gotten myself some water before starting this, so I can stay hydrated while I talk. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do with all this excess bulk of cards. Alright, Chocobo Kick. We're going to see a lot of repeating ones because of how rarities work. So we'll just start speeding through this a little bit more until I see something maybe I feel like talking about. Like this card. What's neat here? Basic land. Any land. Decent. Even though, it's kind of costly, you're paying 4 mana in total to do that. Sometimes that's just what you need. Hilgigus. Clash of the Icons. Magic Tech Armor. Random Encounter. Garland, Knight of Cornelia. This is one of the few Final Fantasy 1 cards referenced in this set. Garland being the first fight, first boss fight in the game. He is basically just a regular dude, but he has way more HP. But as you go through the game, you eventually learn that this guy is actually the main villain, who exists through a time loop. And it's kind of hard to explain the time loop, but it's like this dude eventually turns into the final boss in the card here, Chaos, right? The Endless. And his time loop effect is referenced here when this creature dies, put it at the bottom of its owner's library. So the idea is that Chaos has 4 elemental fiends, 1 for each crystal, and they work to send like this dude to the present, and then by defeating him, this guy's sent to the past. Look, at the end of the day, time travel's stupid. If you're not going forward at times 1 speed, I don't give a shit. But yeah, that's where we're at. But yeah, neat. Wish I could build a Pauper Commander around it. I just don't see it working. Summoner's Grimoire. And then we got Omega, Heartless Evolution. And it's based on Final Fantasy XIV, which I think is lame, right? For being Omega and like Omega Weapon and all this stuff with it, this is pretty boring. Like, it doesn't do enough. I don't feel the grandeur. And then we got a foil Gungaga Reactor Town. And then, I don't remember what that's supposed to be. I don't know what art's supposed to be, but cool. Come on, let's open it up. Now, I know while this is going on, kind of have plans for later, but I don't know how well, if we'll keep it up. But, alright, let's see. So, Commune with Beavers, Iceflon, Chocomog, Item Shopkeeper, Malboro, Crossworld Village, Laughing Mad, Poo Poo UFO. It's a dumb name, but the card itself does have decent effect. Any colorless way of taking lands and putting them on the battlefield, it helps other cards that want to do land stuff that don't have green. And there we go, Black Waltz number 3. Flying Death Touch, 2/2 for 4 mana. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 2 damage to each opponent. It is like Gutter Snipe, but with Death Touch. And flying, so it can actually do stuff in combat. It's a good blocker. It's like... This is a good card. I didn't really care much for Final Fantasy IX, though. I think it was overhyped. The Prima Vista... Side quest, catch a fish, and then we'll look at the other side real quick. It's a land. But then we got Y'shtola Rule. At the beginning of your end step, exile target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Then if it's the first end step of the turn, there's an additional end step after this step. So, duplicate end steps. I'm sure there's shenanigans there. I don't give a shit. I don't know why it's mythic. Whatever. Boom. Boom. Alright, so, boom, Scorpion Sentinel, Cure All, Call the Mountain Chocobo, this dude, Grand Pulse Ochu, Sahagin, Baron Rivalry, oh, this is a Deadly Dispute, okay, as an additional cast, yep, okay, Final Fantasy IV, neato, Valkyrie Aerial Unit, Lionheart, alright, I got stories about this one, for those unaware. So Final Fantasy VIII, main character, Squall, he uses a Gunblade, which is as dumb as it sounds, but also doesn't actually shoot projectiles at people. What it is the way it's supposed to function is that you pull the trigger when you're about to hit to add vibrations to the blade to create a more potent cut, I guess. I don't know, it's fantasy. Either way, he has a handful of weapons, and the strongest of them, his ultimate weapon, is the Lionheart. The Lionheart is, I always envisioned it as just a beam weapon, like a lightsaber, but on a gun. Here they made it more of like a crystal thing that gets illuminated by energy, which is fine, I guess. But this is his ultimate weapon, relegated to an uncommon, and barely does shit. Like, that's really funny. This would be comparison to Cloud's Buster Sword, which is his starting weapon, has no unique features, and anyway, that sword fucking busted as hell in this game. They made it like a mythic rare, and that's one of the cards I'd be happy if I pulled it, but I'm gonna make a proxy of it even if I don't. So, Dark Knight's Great Sword, Ninja Blades. This would probably be handy for my buddy Chips. I made him a blue-black ninja deck a while ago, and this would probably be one that would up his alley. Even though that deck's pretty good on its own. I don't think it needs more cards. And then we get the proverbial Blitzball. Good old Mana Rock. Alright, and then a Plains, and then this is supposed to be Hades, if I recall. So neat. Alright, we're 1/3 of the way done. Hey, Wizard Token. Fight on. Really wish this was a white card. I would have put it in the commander deck if it was a white card. Gishel Greens, Magic Damper, Cloudbound Moogle, Guardian Force Ifrit. The joke about girlfriend is always going to persist. It being common is funny because this is you fight Ifrit in Final Fantasy VIII as like your exam. Have you altered a card? I have not. No, I have been wanting to do tokens, like custom tokens, for a while. Coincidentally enough, I've been wanting to do, for like the past 6 years, I've been sitting on an idea for tokens to make them look like bestiary entries from like Final Fantasy 1. Like using, let's look at a quote-unquote real token real quick. Actually, I got one back here, right? Right, so it would have... like the frame would be like the old retro frame with the text, and it'd be like attack strength kind of thing down here. Yeah, that's what I'd want to do. I just haven't done it yet, mostly because I don't know how I'm printing it. But yeah, everybody fights this dude as like their high school exam, more or less, and it's funny that they made him common. White Mage's Staff, Instant Ramen, Realm Sketching, Reno and Rude, Self-Destruct, Ultimecia, Time Sources. This is the main villain of Final Fantasy VIII. What's her mission? To compress all time so that she is the ruler of it all? I don't know. Look, 8 was dumb. Earth Crystal, womp womp. The really specific if you want to do +1/+1 counter stuff. And then a foil side quest card collection, and then we have our Final Fantasy 14 dual land there. I think after this pack, I'm gonna go get some water. Sephiroth's Intervention, Gigantode, Rook Turret, Aerith Rescue Mission, Blazing Bomb. I like the design of this card. The fact that it keeps, if you play big spells, it gets bigger, and then you can blow it up for big damage. Magic Pot, Instant Ramen, Tonberry. I really wish there was like a King Tonberry in this set, or something else that really gets to the fact that like when it hits you with the knife, you die, like the player loses the game then. Because that's basically what happens. This thing slowly creeps towards you, and it just got a lot of health, but it just slowly walks towards you, and then when it hits you with the knife, it goes doink, and you die. Zidane. Or Zidane. We don't really have a proper pronunciation of this guy's name at all. That's actually a decent effect. Sorceress' Schemes, Sleep Magic, Womp Womp, Sin, Spear of Punishment. Let's see, whenever it enters or attacks. I do like how they're trying to do enters and attacks, so you can like keep, so it isn't just about ETB triggers anymore. Exile a permanent card from a graveyard at random, then create a tap token copy of that card. If the exiled card is a land card, repeat this process. I mean, it's is more Sultai graveyard good stuff you can do with it. But yeah. And then, ooh, hold up. We got ourselves a foil Aerith. Oh, speaking of flavor cards, here, we'll just look at the tokens of land real quick. So this is also a good flavor card, too. One, it's already strong, because it's very similar to a Johnny's Pride Mate, where whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. But when this creature dies, put X +1/+1 counters on each legendary creature you control, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Aerith. Like, that's a very strong effect. You get her big enough, and then she dies to something, everybody else, if they're still around, very strong effect. Alright, I'm going to go get some water real quick, so enjoy staring at my drawing tablet. And a part of the box. I'll be right back. Very strong with a SAG outlet. Girlfriend's like, "Are you recording yourself opening those up?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's laughing. I'm like, people want to see people open cards. And look, if I did this later, no one was going to watch anyway. But that's okay. I'll upload the VOD to YouTube. Alright. Ahriman! Here. I gotta relocate this stack of cards I got over the side here. It's getting a little big. Okay. Dragon's Wyvern. Galacat. Suplex! I'm actually surprised it's the first suplex I've seen. For a common, out of like almost halfway through the box. Because I gotta save these. Because it's a funny card. So yeah, story beat from Final Fantasy VI. You go into a haunted forest. You're being chased by a phantom train. The person who's in charge of the scenario is Sabin, or Sabin, however you want to pronounce it. He decides to use one of his techniques to deal with the phantom train that's chasing him, and so he runs at it, grabs it, suplexes it. Just grabs it, lifts it up, and slams it on the ground. It's humorous. So I'll have to set that one aside real quick. White Oracite. Promise fulfilled. This is actually light up the stage. So some of these cards, when they use actual artwork for through the ages stuff, that's fine. But when they're using the PlayStation 1 renders, it looks really gross. Also, despite every single card, I hate this black stroke they've implemented everywhere. Because everything's hovering. I really wish they kept some of the frame stuff to it, or borders to the text. Because this just feels cheap to me. Capital City! Final Fantasy 16 represented on a card. The Crystal's Chosen. Probably meant for limited play, just to pretty much you make 4 dudes. So 4 dudes for 7 mana, and those 4 dudes being presumably at least 2/2s each. And if you have more creatures, this helps get those other ones get bigger too. But yeah, I don't know about this. Freya! Freya's interesting, not because of the character, because she barely does anything in Final Fantasy IX, but 1 mana, I already like it. Has flying, not bad. Mana Dork for equipment, that's interesting to me. Alright, what else we got here? Crystal Fragments. Jekt, Reluctant Guardian. Alright, so Jekt is one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, just because we don't get to see him a lot. He's a piece of shit, right? But he does quote unquote get better. But a lot of that's just inferred. Anyway, what does he do? So can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it and return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. So when you transform it, he turns into Nebraska's Final Aeon, which has a bunch of effects. But here's the problem with this dude. He doesn't come back as his regular form. Like, so when he transforms into this, you got him for 3 turns, and at the start of the 3rd turn you have to sacrifice it. And then he's gone. So unfortunately, can't really do a whole lot with him. Commune with Beavers in foil. We got a foil Forest here, and then we got Kamari art card. So Kamari is not in the main set. He's in the Final Fantasy X Commander Precon. But Kamari is a character I love, and he fucking sucks. Like, mechanically, he sucks. He's a Dragoon, and he's a Blue Mage. 2 of the coolest classes. But he does not have any area on the sphere grid in which you need him for. He doesn't get a lot of cool stuff. And this is during the era where they turn blue magic on the limit breaks only, which was lame. So let's keep it going. At some point, we pulled an Atraxa Grand Unifier, but it's actually Sephiroth the Savior. And this isn't the Proliferate one. This is the one that was printed for All Will Be One, I believe. So that's neat. That is very neat. Not really keen on, like, that. I mean, it's good artwork. I just don't like how it's, like, situated there. Raiji Shufaf? All aboard? Final Fantasy X. Adelbert Steiner. Cargo ship. Ruban, Bull of Allah Migo. Okay, more Final Fantasy 14 shit. So he's got ward, meaning if an opponent targets him with a spell, they got a paid life equal to this dude's power in order for it to go into effect. Attach up to one, so it's equipment shenanigans. Okay. And then we got that Final Fantasy 11 creature. Final Fantasy 6 land. And art card with Kefka on it. Neato. Where are we at? How are we? Namazu Trader. Frish's Wanderings. Kikiran Merchant. Slash of Light. So this is the only depiction of Warrior of Light on these cards. Which is funny they put that on here. Like, it's repping Final Fantasy 1. This isn't an ability in Final Fantasy 1. You don't get abilities like that. But White needed a removal spell. Red Mage, man. So they decided to base it off Final Fantasy 1 version, but I kind of wish they would base it off a later version so it would get dual casting. Because here it's just like, it has like a pseudo prowess effect, like similar to, what was that, like Wii Dragonauts and stuff like that, or Kiln Fiend, where you cast spells, it gets bigger. It has a stronger attack, but that's it. But Red Mages in Final Fantasy, they starting with like 5, I think it was, they got dual casting where they can cast spells twice. So here, I thought it would be cool if it got, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you copy it and choose new copies, targets with the copies. Lunatic Pandora again. Adventurer's Airship. Cactuar. So, yeah, it doesn't stay around, runs off. Garnet, Princess of Alexandria. I think this would be a okay commander to build around, or legendary creature to build around for a commander deck if you wanted to. Works with Pauper Commander, would probably be better off in regular. Just because you can use more of the Saga creatures. Relentless Spider Robot. I'm not going to go through the naming there. And then we have the Emperor Palamecia. Okay, wants to do big non-creature spells. He's kind of a dork. Cool. The Regalia, the car from Final Fantasy 15. And then we got Anima as a foil. So yeah, kind of an effect, but it is what it is. Oh, man. Dinosaur, Wyvern, Cat. Another suplex I'm setting aside. Bam, bam. Fenrir. Albed Salvagers. Questus Trippe. Oh yeah, so she got blue magic, but they... So the way they did blue magic for her in this, I think is kind of weak, but because she's uncommon, I guess that makes sense. So yeah, when she enters, you may cast an instant sorcery card from a graveyard, so you don't have to pick your own. You can pick your opponent's if you like one of their spells, but you still have to spend mana on it. You can just use whatever mana you want. And then, yeah, then you exile it. So, alright. X-Death, Void Warlock. This one transforms into Neo X-Death. So this is like the Final Fantasy V boss. Oh, dear. And we got the woodblock print for this one. Equipped creature has base power and toughness XX, where X is your life total. Well, I'm hoping I can get something for that. I don't need to do anything with life gain these days. And then we have an eject. Another planes. Oh, then we got the dog. So this was fun because I saw the backside of this when I opened it. So we got Angelo, which is the dog from Final Fantasy VIII. This is Renoa's companion that you use for limit breaks. And then you got Darkstar on the other side. Right? So, woof woof. Alright. Hey, first Black Mage's Rod. I'm surprised by the amount of commons that we've gone through that I'm only seeing a few of these. Because, like, I need the Black Mage's Rod to get the frickin' the build I want to do if I'm going to end up doing it. Okay, Airship Crash. Retrieve the Esper. Fate of the Suncrest. Excuse me. Mysidian Elder, Laughing Mad, Golbez Clad in Darkness. So this is Conrad the Grim. Neat, I suppose. Samurai's Katana. Restoration Magic. Titus, Blitzball Star. You might be thinking, isn't his name Titus? No, you're wrong, it's Titus. But this is actually a pretty decent effect. Like here is kind of whatever. It's just the fact that it gets bigger whenever an artifact you control enters. Oops, grabbing too many cards. There's our first Sid. This is the Final Fantasy II version of Sid. So they did kind of a neat thing here. So they have 15 different versions of Sids, using artwork from Final Fantasy II to Final Fantasy 16, and they're all the same, right? They do the same thing. That's why this card has cycling. Because you can't have legendary, more than one legendary creature of the same name on the battlefield at any given time. So if you do already have one, you can cycle it out of your hand to get another card. And then we got Stiltskin. Unfortunately, I don't give a shit about the Moogle here, but yeah, you can just give stuff away and then draw cards. This is meant to be used for like someone who's doing a Zedru deck or something like that. Foil Syncopate. We got ourselves a city from Final Fantasy IX, and we have another art card. Come on, open up. And this one just is all kinds together. So far, I'm feeling like kind of a whiff of a set so far, at least for the boosters. It's also been like a decade since I bought a booster box. Because last time I bought a booster box, I split the cost with 3 other people, and we did a limited session out of it. So we each got 3 boosters out of it, or not 3, we got 6 boosters out of it and built decks. Another Black Mage's Rod. Yay! Laughing Mind, Adventurous Airship. Hey, first fire magic. I like the artwork for this one. I know I'm not really a big fan of Vivi, but I think this is a decent card. I would maybe put it in Torbrand if it did damage to players as well, but you know, spending 1 mana to deal 1 damage to each creature isn't bad at instant speed, but then spending 3 mana to do 2 damage to each creature also isn't bad. Here it's a little rough, right? Spending 6 mana total, that's rough. Gaius Van Baelsar, another Final Fantasy XIV guy. Snow Villers, or is it Villiers? Villiers? I don't know. Kind of a weak effect, but you know, uncommon. What do you expect? Fang. Oh, hey, we got 1/2 of the Ragnarok meld. Right? So, haven't seen Vanille yet. And then Astrologian's Planisphere. Straight up do not care about Final Fantasy XIV stuff. Foil Combat. Tutorial. A town. And a hero. Alright. Just moving along here. After this pack is done, I have 11 more packs, and then that'll probably just be the end of the stream here. Hack Dies. Fat Chocobo. This thing. Another weapons vendor. Haste Magic. Crossroads. Scout. Phantom Train. Choo Choo. You get suplexed. Ring of Lucy. Shantoto Tactician Magician. I appreciate the rhyming here. Dragoon's Lance. Holy shit! We got the most valuable card in the set. And I am very happy it is not foil. But yeah, this card is busted. I love playing red-blue. Really great artwork here. Also the same artist who did the Fire Magic one. But yeah, let's talk about this. 3 for 3 mana. You may spend 0 mana, add X mana of any combination of blue and or red, where X is VV's power. Activate only during your turn and only once each turn. So you might be thinking, if it was just this, right? Just that paragraph there. I can't add any mana, right? So then we get into whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on VV, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So they're giving it the Black Mage feature of it dealing 1 damage to each opponent. That's fine. The fact that whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it permanently gets +1/+1. So you could build this with, you could do Spellslinger, like Izzet loves to do. You could do artifacts, like Izzet also loves to do. You could do enchantments if you're feeling saucy, but like really, any spell you cast that is not a creature spell is going to make this guy big. And then by making him big, you're going to allow yourself to use this mana to spend on whatever you want. There's no clause here stating that this mana can only be used for like artifacts or instant sorceries or additional cost or something like that. It's just like, you just get more fucking spells. So you can storm off really easily. Then spend 0 to do this all over, to get more mana to potentially just go crazy. So yeah, this is a very strong card. Very pushed. Very pushed. Yeah, so I will be looking forward to selling that. Esper Ramu in foil. And a Town of Ruin, a Final Fantasy V card in foil, and a hero token. Say, this price that I've seen that go at was like about like $70. So that's cool. I said, if it was in foil, I would have been super pissed, because it's harder to sell foils, and they would start warping. Boom. 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 We got ourselves that thing. And Blitzball. Hi, hi, hi. Ban. Fuck out of here, bots. So Diabolic Intent. As additional cost this creature cost this spell sack a creature. Search your library. This has got to be worth something, I would think. Gladiolus, Emacity, too many vowels. But Landfall Dude. Chocobo Racetrack. This card is fucking strong. Whenever land enters this battlefield, you create this. And the fact that it's not legendary either, so if you get more of these, you're just getting tokens, and then with those tokens also benefiting from having lands. No, no, no. If they were the best viewers' thighs, I might be tempted. Battle menu. This card is cheeky because it's like one of the couple of cards that really highlight the meta of the game. Like this card references the how to play Final Fantasy, or the older ones anyway, by giving you like what you would find in your menu. And then, but it's also strong because again, 2 mana, and you get to pick, and it's instant. So you can find a way to make it work for you in any given moment. Hope Estheim. Final Fantasy 13 card. Let's see. End step. Each opponent mills X cards, where X is the amount of life you gain. That's kind of an interesting effect, though. Didn't really see anything like that prior to this, where now you're like blue loves to mill, white likes to gain life, but I don't see anything that really combines those together. So that's actually kind of pretty cool. Neat design. Hey, we got another valuable card here. Terra Magical Adept. So, when she enters, mill 5 cards, put up to 1 enchantment card milled this way in your hand, then you can make her go into her transform. Sorry, I didn't have that too high. But yeah, make her go into her transform. So then she gets all this stuff, makes a bunch of mana. She turns into Esper Terra. Now, the joke here is that she's in Gruul, the colors of blue, red, and green. But because of the other colors she adds of white, blue, and black, those 3 colors collectively are referred to as Esper. But she was referred to as an Esper in the game because for other reasons. But yeah, neat. And then we got a foil Chocomog, Island of around Besaid in Final Fantasy X, and then we have the Gishel Green's art card. Okay, we are 2/3 of the way done. 10 more packs. Warrior Sword, Resentful Relation, Chocobo Kick, Strange Laguna, Paladin Arms, Instant Ramen, Sahagin. We got ourselves Master Zande. And this is Venser, Shape Savant. Enters, return target spell permanent to its owner's hand. Neat. Circle of Power, Ignis. He does the new recipe stuff. Got ourselves Torgal. Golbez, Crystal Collector. This guy cares about artifacts. I don't care too much about him, though. I'm not attached to that one. What is this? What is this? This is a Blitzball shot. What else is here? Feels like there's 2 cards stuck together here, but there is not. Then we got more of these. Final Fantasy VIII land from the ruins where the orphanage was at. Rat. Combat tutorial. Lucas Stadium. So this is Strixhaven Stadium. Add a point counter. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter for his artifact. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter. Then if there are 10 or more point counters, remove them all, and that player loses the game. That's funny. And I could maybe, actually, this wouldn't make sense to do, but I could slot this into a deck that I currently have for it's land focused. And if I don't have creatures in play, that'd be really funny. Oh wait, no, because I would need creatures in play to have it. Okay, yeah. I'd have to attack, so maybe it wouldn't fit in there at all. Queen Braun, strong, just because she makes more of those dudes. The Gold Salsa, not a bad land. Cloud of Darkness, villain from Final Fantasy III. Side quest, raise a Chocobo. Look, I already know that foil Black Waltz is there, but yeah. So here, make a Chocobo, and now you can make a Black Chocobo, which adds the landfall effect to all birds you control. and they'll stack with other ones. So if the birds already have that ability, they'll get it twice. So getting +2/+0 with each land it enters. Not a bad one. They say birds are very pushed here. The darkness crystal in the special art. Was it I forgot what type of frame they say this is. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead, and you gain 2 life. And then put a creature card exile. But okay. Getting control of other people's creatures exiles their shit, so they can't do graveyard shenanigans. Not bad. And then, yeah, foil Black Waltz. Neato might actually have to use it. Who knows? Insomnia, Crown City. Uh-oh, and then we got the Sephiroth emblem. Make it wonderful. Pull a Sephiroth. Alright. Let's keep it going. More Corner by Black Mages. Oh, there's a regular Rufus that's non-foil. A Realm Reborn. Alright, I got a thought about this one. Alright, well, neat, I suppose. But I'm going to talk about Realm Reborn real quick. I don't know a ton about Final Fantasy XIV, but I do know it was originally released in like 2010 for PCs. And that game was not well received. It was so poorly received that the development team actually sent out a public apology for the state of the game, and then they actively start reworking the game, so they re-released it later called Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. I think it came out like somewhere between 2012 and 2014, around that time frame. So here it says other permanents you control have tap, add 1 mana any color. Strong effect for what if you want to ramp in green. But I'm upset this is not a board wipe. If this just didn't clear everything in play, like, granted, that's not a very green effect, but I would have loved it if they talked about the meta, but I'm sure there was a reason they didn't do that, and probably because it would be in poor taste, right? Now, did someone just message me? It's probably the girlfriend saying, wrap it up, and I can't just wrap it up. Oh, she was supposed to take them. That's silly. Okay. Wizard token. Sahagin. Ambrosia. I'm surprised they gave this one a card, and this one I feel is a little bit of a flavor fail. Not because, like, okay, you get this white chocobo in Final Fantasy 16. This one's been leading its own group of chocobos, trying to do good stuff because you were separated for like a decade plus. And it's got all the same things, like the flash, that's fine. This is whatever. Like, it has the landfall effect that the birds in this set have, but they made it a white creature, and I know why they did it because it's obviously a white fucking bird. But they could have just made it a green bird. It would have been fine. The final days. Ether. Kind of a weird effect, but I guess how would you recover MP otherwise? Because MP doesn't exist in the game. In this game, so then we got Primal Odin. I'm a little sad that they used the Final Fantasy XIV version of Odin. And hey-o! Yeah, I was hoping they would use the Final Fantasy like 8 version of Odin, because that's the one I have a personal attachment with. But hey, we got Knights of the Round. Nice. Slot that into the Final Fantasy deck, or Final Fantasy VII deck specifically. Just ton of chapters. You're building a bunch of knights, so you're getting 12 knights. And this one being the proverbial Arthur. And yeah, if it even makes it that long. But the fact that this dude's indestructible, you know, this is cool. This is cool. If I can get 2 more of those Black Mages rods, though, that'd be cool. Excuse me. Chocomog, Item Shopkeep, Hilgigus, Stolen Uniform, Rydia's Return, Eden, Seat of the Sanctum. There's Vanille, so I can do the meld shit. Ishgard, the Holy Sea. I'm not gonna lie, when I get a land as my rare for our boosters, it doesn't make me happy. It makes me feel a little lame. And then a foil Undercity Dire Rat. Another one of those, another bird. Alright. Let's go ahead and set these off to the side. We're down to the last 5 packs. Cornered by Black Mages, cool. Commune Beavers, Iceland, Corioletta, Call them out. Here. Travel, the Overworld, Orin's Inspiration. The artwork here does not coincide to when this part, this whole speech happens in the game, though. That's a little bit of a miss for me. Mansion does this whole spiel when you're fighting Unalesca, or about to fight Unalesca. Unalesca is in like a starry background, like looks like you're in the night sky, and they're doing like a sunset thing, like you're right outside Xanarkand or some shit. And it kind of implies he's already dead, which, I mean, yes he is, but he's still actively in the group. It's kind of hard to explain. Either way, not kind of a... This is a strong removal spell, though. Like, sure, 3 mana, but that is a funny number. Just within the context of the game, creatures don't ever get that much toughness. But this also gets around indestructible. And we got Dion, Bahamut's Dominant. I'm kind of hoping I pull a Clive, but I don't think I'm going to pull a Clive. So yeah, Dragonfire Dive. During your turn, this creature and other knights you control have flying, so he cares about flying, or cares about knights. When he enters, you make a 2/2 white knight creature token. You know, like his boyfriend here. That's not me being silly, that is his boyfriend, if I recall. Then you can spend 6 mana, exile it to turn him into Bahamut, Warden of Light. You do some +1/+1 counter shenanigans, and then destroy a permanent. And then after you do that, you return him back to this form, thus making another knight. So yeah, there's some cool stuff there. Foil Prima Vista, tap land, another Kefka art card. Boom, 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 boom. Stuck in Summoner's Sanctum. You are not alone. The one song everybody talks about, this like low point in Zidane's journey in the game, confined into a common. Not that I'm judging. Again, as previously stated, I was not a fan of Final Fantasy IX as much as others. I'm just confused as to why people like it so much. I didn't see it. Death Touch Lifelinker. Not a bad effect, right? But also, this could also just not be on a legendary creature. Barrett Wallace. I already have a copy of this in the commander deck for this, so that's fine. Another Anima Summon. Catching Fish. Another Darkness Crystal. That sucks. That's a whiff. And then a foil corner by Black Mages. Oh, cool. And I actually got the Final Fantasy I land. So, talk about this. So there's a bunch of full art basic lands. And all of them represent one of the games. So there's a mountain for Final Fantasy I, and they'll do like plains, island, swamp, forest for the rest. And that gets you 15, right? Well, what do they do for 16? The smart thing, they made a waste. And I'm kind of hoping I pull that waste. Because that'd be cool. Alright. We're in the final 3 packs. Monk's Fist. Choco Comet. Diamond Weapon. Alright. So this is one I might slot into the deck because it's strong. So yeah, so if you got good for after a board wipe, it's got reach, prevent all combat damage that be dealt to it. Like that's pretty good. I would find a home for that. Phoenix down. Choco, Seeker of Paradise. Final Fantasy IX reference here. Made for commander card. Do stuff with birds. Whenever you attack with birds, you look at cards to see based on the number of birds you have. Then you can put any number of land cards from them on the battlefield, and then whenever land just get bigger, if you're gonna use birds, birds are ooh, yeah, that's strong. And then we got Kefka Court Mage. We got the full art version. So whenever enters or attacks, each player discards a card, then you draw a card for each card type among the cards discarded this way. Then you can spend 8 mana. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice. Transform Kefka, activate only as a sorcery, and this will turn into Kefka Ruler of Ruin. Oh wait, this is actually the Yoshi... Oh, this is the Amano art? I didn't even recognize that. Oh, that's actually cool as shit. Yeah, because he made new art for it. Yeah, this is new. Anyway, Kefka, Ruler of Ruin, flying, 5/7. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that many cards. Seems pretty basic, but this is a strong card. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to do something with Grixis at some point, but this is a neat card. That's cool. Foil Lionheart, Final Fantasy IV land, Hero Token. Alright. Second to last pack. Sephiroth keeps intervening here. How am I not getting suplexes? I'm actually very annoyed I only got 2 of them. Then we got a non-foil of it, so that's cool. We might have a home for that. Play Blitzball. At the beginning of the combat of your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. At the end of combat on your turn, if a player was dealt 6 or more combat damage this turn, transform this enchantment, then attach it to a creature you control. And this turns into Waka's ultimate weapon, World Champion. Double Overdrive. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has Double Strike. And then what do we get here? Hey-yo! We got ourselves a Bahamut. This is a strong card. It goes into literally any deck, as long as you get to that 9 mana. But yeah, destroy up to one target non-land permanent, and you do that twice. Draw 2 cards. This creature deals damage equal to the total mana value of other permanents you control to each opponent. So, it doesn't count itself, unfortunately, because it says other permanents, but if you got a lot of shit in the battlefield, everybody else stuff is just everybody's just getting hurt. But this is a strong card. And then we have a Crossroad Village in foil. We have this Final Fantasy IX land in foil. And a hero token. One last booster pack. Because, aside from making the booster boxes more expensive for Universes Beyond, instead of this is like $30 more than what it normally is for a regular one. They made it so it had 6 less booster packs because they hate the consumer. They want to milk you all your money. Arden Izunia. This is Varigoth Bloodsky Sire. Death Touch Boast. Okay. Prompto Argentum. Despite knowing very little about Final Fantasy 15 currently, I do know this guy loves taking selfies, so I really dig the art, looking like he's holding the camera and taking a selfie. That's funny. Galef's Final Act, because Galef is the character that dies in Final Fantasy V. Omeg Pixie. We got an alt art version of Summon Shiva, that's cool. And the final card we got for our rare is Midgar City of Mako. I can't even play it in the commander deck because it doesn't have black. But this is a good effect. You know, sacking a artifact or creature and draw 2 cards. But I just saw I got the one basic land I wanted out of it. So there's the waste I was telling about. So why this is a flavor win. Final Fantasy 16 is really about a lot of the Final Fantasy games, in fact, are about being nice to the environment, more or less. But this takes it another step further and has it to like the active use of magic is blighting the land. This is very similar to what I like about Dark Sun, the setting from Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, lands that are blighted, you can't grow anything there. Dude, this is just useless. I mean, there aren't any monsters there either because nothing can live there. So there's a point in the game where you're walking through, and this represents that. So I think this is a win. All right, that's it for those cards. Still upset I didn't even get a full playset of Suplex. I'll have to really look through the cards to see if there's anything else I can get. And there's all these little shards of shit over here. So we'll go from where we started and where we ended up at. Actually, we'll just do it like this, right? So we got Midgar, City of Mako, as a rare. Arden Izuna, I'm assuming it's a rare because it's got the triangle there. We got ourselves Summon Bahamut. Strong card. Might, huge maybe, might put it in my Torbrand deck, but I don't know for sure if it's worth. Kefka Court Mage with the new Amano art, which is pretty cool. Choco, Seeker of Paradise, for all your bird tribal needs. The Darkness Crystal. I don't have a use for it. I won't find a use for it, but that's unfortunate. It is what it is. Dion Bahamut's Dominant. Even though he's got the stronger Giga Flare for an ability, he does not have Mega Flare like Summon Bahamut did. And Summon Bahamut... Drinking some water, hold on. Sorry for the coughing. Summon Bahamut. I really wish it was the Final Fantasy VIII art, but they're using a 10 one because there's a bias towards Final Fantasy X, which makes sense, right? More people like that game. Ishgard the Holy Sea, Adventure Land. Summon Knights of the Round. Summon Primal Odin. I do enjoy that it does have the lose the game clause on there. A Realm Reborn. The Darkness Crystal, full art etched. I don't know if that's the right one. Golbez, Crystal Collector. Terra, Magical Adept. Hope, Estheim. Vivi, Ornithir. Astrologian's Planisphere. Stiltskin, Moogle Merchant. Atir and Prywin. The Regalia. Sephiroth, the Savior. Jekt, Reluctant Guardian. Foil, Aerith Gainsborough. Sin, Spear's Punishment. The Earth Crystal. Ninja Blades. Y'shtola Rule. Lightning Army of One with the fancy, numeral in the background. Lindblum Industrial Regency. Balam Garden Seed Academy. Ultima Origin of Oblivion. Vincent Valentine in foil. Turns into Galleon Beast. Xanarkin Ancient Metropolis. I don't know if that really makes sense. Like, I get the name, what they're trying to do there. I don't think it makes sense. Kane, Traitorous Dragoon. The Wind Crystal. And Tifa Lockhart. Alright, those are my pulls. Those are the big ones. I'll have to sort through these cards, figure out how I'm going to organize them, what I'm going to do with the bajillion commons and stuff. Maybe, hopefully, make a deck out of it at some point. See what I'm going to sell off. But yeah. That's all I got. So, At this point, I need to call it quits because I got like a thing I need to do. So let's check the raid channel. My boy Unsourced better be on today. He is. Alright. He's playing Metroid Fusion. We're going to go hang out with Unsourced. So, thanks for hanging out, watching. I'll upload this to YouTube just to have a video on there because it's been like almost a year since I uploaded anything. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I'll catch y'all another time. Let's do this shit real quick. Take it easy.